Hey folks, this is Tom Norfleet with www.citizenshipquickly.com. We're putting out a unique video today which is different than our other videos. Our whole business is dealing with trying to keep people's taxes down to zero. But I had a personal experience in having mesh pulled out that I think you would be interested in. So many people have hernia operations and they don't have the background experience that I have had. I had my mesh pulled out after 22 and a half years of being in me. It was from an inguinal operation. Although all our videos are on showing people how to get their taxes to zero, close to zero, this is the reason I'm implementing this tape is because the medical costs and expense, by me not knowing what I know now, I wish I had known, years ago, 23 years ago, what I know now. It would have saved me a tremendous amount of time, expense, headaches. I can't begin to tell you how much time and expense it would have saved me. And our whole program with www.citizenshipquickly.com is basically showing people not only how to get their taxes down to zero, but also saving money. And this is one of the reasons I did this video and implement it with our company. Let me tell you the story that I had that you might not have a problem with now, but you probably will have a problem with later, okay? And that is having what's called an inguinal hernia, which I had back in, had an operation. The first operation was in 1995. To tell you a little bit about, how it occurred was, I'll tell you, if you're doing sit-ups, don't do sit-ups anymore, do crunches. That's how my hernia operation actually occurred. In fact, I had a client of mine who I had seen several years before I had my hernia operation, and he had his actually from a prior from doing sit-ups, and that's how he caused his hernia. So do crunches, don't do sit-ups. It puts a tremendous amount of strain on your lower abdomen, which you want to try to stay away from. So anyway, I was doing sit-ups, and felt this burn in my lower part, and I went, what's that? And I looked down, and I saw this puckering coming out of my side, right in my guinea area, and I knew immediately it was a hernia. I had heard about hernias before, never had one before, but I said, I've caused a hernia. So what I ended up doing, I didn't do anything for a while. That was a huge mistake because my whole thing was, I don't feel anything right now. Other than that burn that happened originally, I don't feel anything now. So what happened was I put it off, and I ended up going hiking and doing all kinds of exercises and stuff. And the pucker was there. And one thing I will tell you, hernias don't go away, okay? You're going to eventually have to get them fixed. And they will eventually, if you don't do something, you can have it strangled. And you can cause gangrene if you don't get something done quick. My advice is when you get it repaired right away. Don't wait, okay? And all the stuff I'm telling you here is in my own experience. Before you do anything that you're getting from this tape, get with a doctor and talk to a doctor on your situation. I'm just going to tell you my experience, and maybe you can learn something from my experience and make good decisions from it. So I ended up going to a doctor, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made was choosing a doctor based on insurance. If you've got insurance, one thing I will tell you from past experiences, and you can blend this in with my videos that I have, because we have tons of videos, like I said, on tax issues and how to get your taxes down to zero, and things that you won't see anywhere else. The reason I'm blending this in is I made some huge costly mistakes, not just things that took me a lot of time. There were costly mistakes that we try to teach our clients, basically how to get away from having problems. And so this is my story and what happened. I ended up going to a doctor with KAISER Permanente, and I'm going to mention the doctor's names here that I went to see and the experience I had with them. This doctor's name was KIRKLAND, KIRTLAND. E is an egg, HOBLER, HOBLER. He was with KAISER Permanente, and this was in Raleigh, North Carolina. He was the doctor I had, and I also went to see a Dr. Eubanks at Duke University. Dr. Eubanks was also, he was a general surgeon, and so was the one at KAISER PERMENENTE, Dr. Hobler. The only reason I picked Dr. Hobler was because my insurance covered it. Dr. Eubanks at Duke, my insurance did not cover it. And looking back, I'll tell you from experience, not just in hernias, but any type of operation, pick the best doctor out there if you got the money. It's not worth the aggravation and the headaches that I've gone through, okay? And I ended up using Dr. Hobler because my insurance paid for it, okay? And when I came out of the operation, the pain was incredible. I can't begin to tell you how bad it was. On a pain level of 1 to 10, I think it was like 15. It was awful. I knew that something was wrong. It just was not, I couldn't get, I told me instantly, I was just screaming, get medication and pain medication in me. It was awful. And they gave me a shot. I think it was some sort of morphine, or I don't know what it was, but it was real strong. It took the pain away immediately. But the pain stayed with me. It was real bad for like 2 weeks. This Dr. Hobler, KIRKLAND Hobler, he called me back one time just to see how everything was going. I noticed in the report that he put that I was tolerating the pain good. I wasn't tolerating it good at all. It was awful, okay? And he ended up, there was only one follow-up phone call. There was nothing after that. And I pretty much lost confidence in him. I knew I wasn't gonna, he said the mesh was in me, the hernia was repaired. That's pretty much it. He wasn't gonna resolve any sort of issues other than that. So I was stuck with really bad chronic pain. And I'm gonna tell you the long process this took. I had mesh pulling me like 22 and a half years later, okay? And this is the story, and then I'm gonna tell you what happened. So anyway, I had this pain that was going on. I had electrical pains that were going to my leg. It was literally like you were feeling like you were getting electrocuted. Can you imagine having electrical pains going on your leg constantly? Oh, it was, I felt like just ending my life. It was that bad. It was really bad. And as time went on, it's like the pain was there. It was bothering me a lot. And I finally went to Duke Pain Clinic. You know, I was dealing with the pain so long, I really didn't know what to do. I went back to Dr. Eubanks, who I should have used to begin with. I don't think I would have had that problem to begin with if I had used him. But, you know, it's water of the dam. You say I was trying to go with what was covered in my insurance, and I should have picked a good doctor, and he was a good doctor. He was at Duke University. But this is what he told me. He says, Tom, this is in around the 1990s, latter part of the 1990s. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after I had the first operation before I went to see him. But he did tell me, he said, Tom, we can't pull the mesh out. He said, you know, that stuff's like cement. You can't pull it out. It's literally embalmed in your body. And the nerves and stuff you got to cut around would be horrendous trying to get that out. He says, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now, this is a guy at Duke University. Duke has some of the best doctors in the world. So if you're getting this advice from Duke, where else do you go? There was no really much internet back then, so you couldn't really do much searching. And one thing I will tell you that both doctors did tell me, before I had the hernia operation, when I talked to both of them, I asked them for a doctor that did strictly hernia operations because I wanted somebody who just did hernia operations. They told me that you couldn't find doctors like that because most general surgeon doctors, they did surgery on different areas, not just hernias. And so I took that pretty much at heart. Remember, too, there wasn't much internet back then, so you couldn't get on the internet and type in doctors that did strictly hernia operations. So where do you go? You know, there's no internet back then. So let's push it forwards a little bit further. Dr. Eubanks recommended me to a pain clinic, Duke Pain Clinic, which is probably one of the best pain clinics in the world. And they suggested that there were two alternatives I could do. One is a nerve block, where they basically put steroids or It's a nerve block with steroids, and now they have, I think they have them without steroids and also with steroids, from my understanding. But I opted not to have that. I didn't want to have that, and the reason I didn't want it, I didn't want, I've already had problems. I don't want to ignite other problems that the steroids are going to cause. So I initiated. I wasn't going to take that. So they said the other thing you can do is you can go to a pain therapist, a neuro massage therapist, and I went through that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Lady was very good. I don't remember her last name. Her name was Cheryl. She was from Duke Pain Clinic. Can refer her. I forgot her last name, but her first name was Cheryl, and she's a neuro massage therapist out of. She lives in Cary, North Carolina, and she did the best she could, but one thing that she told me throughout the whole neuromassage therapy, she says, Tom, you're going to get doctors that are going to tell you to cut nerves, okay? She said, whatever you do, if you go in to get any repair done, don't get nerves cut. She says, I've dealt with so many patients that have had nerves cut. You think it's going to solve the problem, it doesn't. And I remember those words that she told me real good, because she said it to me over and over and over again, don't get nerves cut, okay? So I went through that therapy, and it was still bothering me. And I finally went to a doctor, which was a real funny experience. I went to the YMCA one day, and I ran into this guy who was a sprinter for a Jamaican sprinter team. And man, this guy was built. I mean, you could tell he was a fast runner. And we started talking, and he mentioned he had a hernia operation that got botched up. I said, gee, this guy's in the same boat I'm in. And I asked him what he did, and he says, well, I want to refer me to Dr. Jeffrey Berger. I think it's spelled Berger, Berger, out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. And he said he went back to him, and he did some stuff and helped him. And so I called Dr. Jeffrey Berger and flew up to Virginia Beach and talked to him, or I think I drove up there, and he said, I don't pull out mesh. He says, that's pretty complicated. He says, I don't even know people that pull out mesh. He said, it's a very complex operation, and he said, I wouldn't even consider it. He said, the only thing I can do is exploratory surgery. And he says, he noticed he was feeling down in my inguinal area where I had the inguinal operation. And by the way, too, I had an open operation. It was not laparoscopic. And it was Liechtenstein method is the method I used to get done. And but he was feeling down in my inguinal area, and he noticed there was a knob there, and he says, "What's this?" And I said, "I don't know." And I says, "That's where it feels like the pain's coming from." So he put a small amount of nerve block in there, and God, it felt great. I said, "Man, I feel like I died and going to heaven." The problem is it doesn't last. It went away soon after that. But he thought, well, maybe that's where the problem is. So he went in and he actually did exploratory surgery. And when I woke up from that operation, and by the way, too, I'm paying for all this stuff because, I elected to just go to these places, and I didn't care about insurance anymore. Okay. So I was paying a lot of this stuff out of my pocket, just trying to find somebody that could do this right. And so he went in and did the exploratory surgery, and the electrical feelings that was going down my leg and the pain that was going down my leg, it's real funny because that stopped after the operation. I still had it in the inguinal area, the soreness, the pain, everything, but I didn't have the stuff going down around down my leg, the electrical feelings. So that virtually stopped, which was nice. That was in 2002. So we're looking at from 1995 to 2002. That's a 7-year period that I'm going through all this crap. And so when I had the operation with Dr. Berger, I started gradually getting back to where I was. By the way, too, I'm 6'3". I'm 170 pounds. I weigh almost the same thing I did in college. In fact, probably about the same thing I did in college. I'm active. I've run the 6K races. I don't do the marathons and stuff. I don't think it's good for your feet and stuff, but I do 6K races, and I do a swim. I'm 66 and a half years old now, I don't take any sort of medication. I do take herbs and stuff for my prostate. And, you know, so I'm very active. So, you know, I started back doing, you know, I was doing running, and I was, this were 2002, not today. You know, this tape is being done in 2019, in December of 2019. So I'm 66 and a half years old now. So, and I'm doing this tape too because I couldn't find anything on YouTube. I saw stuff about doctors and stuff, but I couldn't find any people like myself getting on YouTube and explaining their story to try to help people, and I just couldn't find anything. So I decided to do this video for that. So anyway, I ended up getting this second operation. I was starting my running and biking. I've never stopped that. And, you know, I ended up, I was doing fine for quite a few years. And the reason I'm leading up to this, there's people that you might know that never had mesh problems, okay? In fact, everybody that I talked to who've had inguinal hernia operations like myself, their friends, relatives and stuff, they've never had problems with their operation. And I thought, gee, it's strange. But if you go on these mesh websites where there are problems, everybody's had problems. What you'll find out is there's a percentage of people, it's a small percentage. When I say small, it can vary. I've seen all kinds of ranges. I think it's as high as 20 or 30%. I could be wrong, but I think it's that high. I'm talking about where you're going to feel some sort of pain. It's not going to be like it was before. So, you know, when you go in for a hernia operation, it's not going to come out to be, if yours comes out to be perfectly 100%, that's, thank the Lord, but I'm going to tell you something, doesn't mean you're out of hot water, which I'll go through the rest of the part here. There are people who've had mesh problems that 20 years, 15 years, 10 years later, that mesh can start whacking out, okay? And it can affect your nerves down there. So just because you've never had problems with it, remember that mesh is a foreign body they're putting in. It holds your gut in place. And that thing can screw up later, and then you can have some major problems with that. And that's why you should not have mesh put in you, which I'm going to explain to you here, that I think, in my opinion, you're a lot better off using a pure tissue repair. So let's get back to the third operation. 2016, I'm in Dubai. I go home to St. Kitts, and I'm doing stretching a yoga type movements for my back. I've always had back problems. And there's an operation, there's a exercise that you do where you get flat like on a countertop, and you lower your bottom part down, and then you straighten back up again like this. And what it does is it's good for your lower back. I was doing that move, and I was doing another one that chiropractors do. I don't know if you've been a chiropractor. They take your leg and they pull it over, okay? What it does is it lowers stress and it puts your spine back in place. One of those two, I don't know which one it was, but at the end of the day, after doing that, it was like this pain was from the inguinal area, started to go down my leg, all the way down to the ankle, around my back. It was awful. It was so bad I could not lift my leg, my right leg, to put on the accelerator. I had to lift my leg up to put on the accelerator to speed up driving a car. That's how bad it was. When I went back to Dubai, I got to the point I could not walk 5 minutes. And here's a guy who, and this is over, remember, from 2002, when I had the exploratory, which lessened the pain, to 2016. That's a 14-year period, okay? So I'm giving you some long periods of time this happened. I was in really bad shape. I just couldn't even hardly walk. After 5 minutes, I was ready to be put into a wheelchair. And so I ended up going on the website trying to find out, you know, is there anything on mesh? People with problems with mesh. You got to remember, the last time I looked on the internet, you see, was back in 2002. 2000. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I'm one of these late computer guys. I started doing emails back in 2002 on the internet stuff. So I didn't really have much, and there wasn't much on the internet too back in 2002. Remember, Google only went public in 2004. You had Yahoo, maybe the infancy of Yahoo. There wasn't much searching you could do back then. So I ended up, but we're pushing way ahead now in 2016. I'm going on the internet looking up mesh problems, and man, the website, the internet is full of people with mesh problems. They had them back in 2002. You just didn't see them, okay, because there wasn't any internet back then. Now you're seeing just thousands of people. There's mesh websites of people. And I just couldn't believe all the people that had problems. And I said, God, this is, I couldn't find anything back then. Now I'm getting mesh websites. I'm finding all this crap out. And so I ended up going on, I spent months trying to search, how can I solve this problem? I wanted the mesh pulled out. Now I'm finding out there are doctors that can pull mesh out, okay? And I actually called quite a few doctors. I interviewed doctors on the phone. I'm going to just tell you doctors I talked to, okay? And I'm not saying these doctors are good. I'm not going to say they're bad. I'm going to only talk about what I say is a good doctor, okay? The one I actually used. I talked with Dr. Peterson. He's in Nevada. I talked to Dr. John Morrison in Canada. I talked to Dr. Musevich's partner in Hernia in Germany. I talked to a Chinese doctor. I can't remember his name. There were other doctors, but these ones were probably the top in the world in pulling out mesh. And also talked to Dr. KOCH, K-O-C-H, who is the doctor I ended up using. And I'm going to tell you why I used him. And he doesn't even know I'm doing this tape. I did this tape because I know so many people, there are thousands of people searching out there and they don't know who to use. This research I did was incredibly extensive, months and months and months of calling. I literally put my business on hold. This was my full-time job, was searching to get this thing right this time, okay? And so I talked to all these different doctors. I got their prices and everything. I wanted to find out how many meshes they pulled out. And I called the Shoulders Clinic in Canada. I found out, there were doctors, even when I did mine back in 1995, that did strictly hernia operations, and not only hernia operations, they did pure tissue repairs. I always wondered, why do you have to put this friggin' mesh in me? When I cut my finger, they just stitched it up. They didn't put a mesh on my finger. I cut my leg or something, they stitched it up. They didn't put mesh on there. And I kept trying to find a doctor that would just stitch it up. They said, you can't do that, Tom. It won't hold in place. You got to put this mesh in there. Well, what do you do? Everybody's telling you the same damn thing. Back in 1995 and 2002, I was still getting the same thing, and I didn't know about this pure tissue repair. Well, Shoulders Clinic has been doing it since 1940s, and I'm thinking 1940s or 1950s, you can go on their website. I think it's the 1940s they started the operation there. They do $7,500 a year. The problem with the Shoulders Clinic is they don't pull out mesh. Now, as of this video, they don't pull out mesh. They don't want the problems. It is horrendous pulling that mesh out. They'll do first-timers because, the problems are very low, okay? But when you're pulling out mesh, man, it is complex as hell. You're going through all kinds of tissue, nerves. You got an inguinal nerve you got to mess with. You got all kinds of problems you got to deal with. And that thing's like cement in your body. And they got to get that thing out. And hopefully you don't have any more problems or worse problems when they can get that thing out. So you definitely don't want a doctor that's going to use you as a guinea pig. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you hadn't done probably at least 150 of these, I'd still call you a guinea pig, okay? My advice is to pick the doctor who's done the most with good results, okay? And I'll be honest with you, cost is a factor, but I'd put on the last on your back burner, okay? If you got the money, do it right, because if you don't do it right the first time or second, or if you don't get it right where it's done correctly, you're going to regret it. Okay, if you got the money, pay for it, okay? So I ended up getting Dr. KOCH, and let me tell you why I picked him, okay? I'm not going to mention the guys that I talked to, but I talked to some of the top people that pulled out mesh, not that just did hernia operations. I talked to the top people that did mesh, and I asked them, I said, who is probably the best doctor in the world that's outside, let's say, the U.S., okay? He's probably got more experience than anybody in pulling out mesh. And Dr. KOCH's name came up every time as number one, okay? And I said, I'm going to call this guy. So I picked the phone up and called him, and he speaks very fluent English. And the funny thing was, he got on the phone and talked to me. The problem with almost every doctor I talked to, okay, not every one of them, I will say Dr. Peterson didn't charge for the initial consultation. The other ones wanted to charge me a huge fee up front. I'm talking about Dr. Meshvich's firm wanted to charge me 600 euros. The other ones wanted to charge me a high fee up front. And just to get them on the phone was very hard. And then to come in and examine, they wanted to examine you, okay? So I ended up really not getting much information from anybody except for Dr. Peterson did talk to me over the phone. I talked to him extensively. But I went with Dr. KOCH. I just felt really good about him, okay? Not only was he cheaper, and by the way, too, I didn't take cost as a big factor in this because it was a factor, but you know, I wanted to find out the doctors that had a lot of knowledge, but I wanted to get a doctor that I felt like cared about me. You know how you can tell a doctor cares? Okay, when he does an initial consultation, he doesn't charge anything, okay? You remember the old doctors back in the 1950s? If you're old enough like me, my uncle was that type of doctor. He used to, Dr. Curtis Norfleet, he would go around to people's houses back in the 1940s and 1950s. And a lot of times, he never even, if people didn't have the money, he wouldn't even charge them. And this is the type of doctor my uncle was. And I had another uncle who was the same way. Those doctors almost don't exist anymore, okay? The only doctor I've seen since then that I would put in that category is Dr. KOCH. He didn't charge me for the initial consultation. I could get him on the phone. I actually called him a couple of times. And, you know, he actually waited several months. My condition got so bad, I was ready to be put in a wheelchair. It was that bad. Here's a person now, I'm not talking about a couch potato type guy, okay? I run, I bike, almost don't let any days go by without exercise, okay? I'm not on any kind of medication. So I'm going with a doctor that I feel like that's going to do the best for me, that I'm not going to be botched up after this thing's over with. And I've got to look at the doctor and see, is this guy, is he really concerned with me? That's the main thing I was looking at. And so I ended up, and he's one of the doctors too with the Hernia website. Anyway, he's the one I actually talked to. And I ended up going in to see him. And I ended up asking him before I went in, I said, can you do this without mesh? And he said, Tom, we might, what about if we use a bio-type mesh that it literally blends in with your body, it becomes part of your body. I said, I don't want that. I says, if I got to go through this, I don't want anything that's going to go in my body. I said, can you do this without that bio-type mesh that's going to be going in my body? He says, he says, I can do it. I talked with Dr. Mesevich in Germany, and her partners who I talked to a couple of times. He says there's a 60% chance we won't use mesh and a 40% that we won't use mesh. I said, I don't want to take that chance. And he said, in fact, we can't even tell you until you're opened up and really see it. So I didn't want to take that chance. And I want to back up on a couple of things too. The Shoulders Clinic, they actually, a lot of people think they do pure tissue repair. And they do pure tissue repair. But if the hernia is big, they might have to use mesh, because some hernias are so big, pure tissue, there's not enough tissue there to fold over to get it in place. And remember too, when you have when you have that mesh pulled out, there's less tissue, from what I'm told, than the initial operation. So now you don't have as much tissue, so your recurrence rate with a hernia the second time is higher than the first time that you do it. And I found out that with Dr. KOCH, his recurrent rate was very, very low. That's the key thing you need to look at, is the recurrent rate. The problem with a lot of these doctors too is they don't follow up with their patients. Dr. KOCH does. A lot of doctors do not. They're interested in money and money only. If you're not coming in to have an operation, that's it. Once they deal with you, you're gone. So a lot of these doctors that that give you these statistics, they're not following up with their patients. And that was one thing I liked about Dr. KOCH, is he does do good follow-up. And that's the key to success, is you need to know, you operated on this guy. What's the condition? Dr. Hobler, this first doctor, he's never followed up with me except for that one phone call, and he knew I was in bad shape. Never called to try to solve the problem. It was not, it's next patient, who's next? This is the kind of crap I got, okay, from this first doctor. And Dr. KOCH he's a follow-up type doctor, and he cares about his patients. I call him the missionary doctor. Very few doctors you're going to see like that. And you better put that first priority on your list, because if you don't, you could have some real problems after this operation's over with. And any doctor that tells you there's a 98% chance, and I won't tell you, there's a client that just told me he went to a mesh doctor that says there's a 98% success rate, 100% no pain. Skip that doctor. He's lying through his, I'm going to tell you, you won't get results like that. No way. Okay? Anybody gives you statistics like that, run like hell. Okay? I'm talking about mesh being pulled out, because you got a lot of problems when you're getting this mesh pulled out. And more than likely, you've got nerve damage. Okay? And the longer you've waited, the worse that nerve damage is. Your conditions are actually better, I found out, if you get this mesh pulled out at least within 6 months of getting that mesh put in, because the potential of your nerve damage getting worse and worse and worse. It's better if you do it initially, at the first part of the operation. And when I say the first 6 months, this is what I've discovered. The research I've done, the talk I've done, calling people who've had mesh pulled out, these are the statistics that I have seen. But anyway, back to Dr. KOCH, he pulled the mesh out. When I woke up from the operation with his operation, I went, damn, did he operate on me? I looked down, I could see there were stitches in there. I had zero pain. I couldn't feel anything. This is after the mesh was pulled out. I mean, you got to get around your gut and everything. This is really a major operation. You got to remember, you got to pull this mesh that was covering up your gut to push that gut back in. You can imagine the preciseness you got to be, because if that gut is messed up, man, you got some real problems. Okay, this is the type of crap you got to deal with. You better know somebody who's had a lot of experience in pulling out mesh. Dr. KOCH, at the time I had mine pulled out, he had pulled out around 200. I don't know if it's 250 now or what. He did 9 hernia operations the day that I was in there. Now, I was the only one, I think he was pulling mesh out of that day. The other ones, I assume, were all pure tissue repair. They were all hernia operations. Now, whether some of the hernias were too big where he could not use pure tissue, I don't know, but they were all hernia operations. I assume pure tissue at that point, because that's the kind he likes to do, unless the hernia is way too big. And if you have laparoscopic, he won't deal with you, as of the time I talked to you, as far as pulling the mesh out. There's a complexness to the laparoscopic in pulling the mesh out, and he won't do that. Now, he can probably refer you to someone on that. So if you have that, you would have to probably use somebody else. He deals with people that have the mesh pulled out, that have had the open repair, laparoscopic or any other type of open repair. And by the way, too, I had a barred mesh put in me. That was the original mesh that I had put in me. It's barred, B-A-R-D. I will tell you this too. that I didn't mention, I didn't do anything about lawsuits. It was a big mistake because I had heard back when I had this pull out that you could not sue a PPO or an HMO at that point. So, I don't, that's what was told to me, and I probably should have done more research on that, but that was a mistake. You should get with a lawyer right after if you have a problem, and they should either pay for the repair to get the mesh pulled out. My advice is do not go back to the same doctor that screwed you up unless he's pulled out tons of meshes. And I'm going to tell you, it's rare as hen's teeth you're going to find a doctor that's pulled out mesh. There are very few doctors that have had experience in pulling out mesh. So, just plan on using probably a different doctor to do that. But Dr. KOCH pulled mine out, and let me tell you, this video is a year and a half. I did this in February 2018 when Dr. KOCH did the operation, where you can push forwards about a year and a half later. And I wanted to wait a year and a half to do the video. And I will tell you this, I still have pain, okay? I'm not yet, I am better, but I will tell you this, when you wait 22 and a half years and you're pulling out mesh, I mean, it's the only person that's going to heal you is Jesus Christ, and you're going to probably have to die to do that. Short of that, I don't think anybody's going to be able to put you back at 100%. I don't want to put cold water on your situation if you're in a lot of pain. But the longer you wait to pull out mesh, and I will tell you this too, to pull out mesh, make sure you're in a lot of pain before you do it, because you could have worse complications when the mesh is pulled out, and you better get the best damn doctor you can get. And I'll tell you this, retroactively, I would never have picked a better doctor than Dr. KOCH. Not only is his cost was cheaper, using even the flight going over to Germany, it's in Kotzbus, Germany, C-O-T-T-S, Butts, B-U-T-T-S, Germany is the place. And looking back, it was the best decision I made. But I did a lot of research. Man, I spent probably 6 8 months just on the phone all day long doing research. And the thing is the next day I was out walking. I walked to the mall and back. That was a 40-minute walk the next day. Okay, now and I was off the painkillers pretty quick. I'll tell you this: there's no comparison the first operation and the third with Dr. KOCH. I mean, no pain when I woke up with Dr. KOCH. The first one, I felt like somebody took a chainsaw and was going down my leg. I mean, that's the difference in the pain. And that pain stayed with me for weeks, that first operation. So the mesh, when he pulled it out, he said, Tom, and he told me this, he said, Tom, to get this mesh pulled out, this is Dr. KOCH, he said that probably, expect we might have to cut a nerve to get that mesh out. It's a very complex operation. I said, look, I can almost not walk now. Do whatever you got to do, okay? And when he opened me up and the operation was finished, he said, Tom, when we opened you up, your inguinal nerve was just limp. We just put it over the side. And that's what I think was that nerve problem I had before. My whole theory about my situation, the original doctor trapped a nerve in the mesh, okay? And that can easily be done. He trapped the mesh in the nerve, okay? Pure tissue repair too, I want to branch out on this. You can have chronic repair, chronic problems with pure tissue repair. Don't think if you use pure tissue, you're not going to have chronic problems. The Shoulders Clinic will tell you they have chronic problems, okay? But you got an extra layer of problems when you put a foreign body called a mesh in you, okay? You're better off using, in my opinion, pure tissue repair, but most doctors don't want to do it. You got to be really good in what you do, and you got to have special training to do it. Most doctors don't want to do it, and they're trained to put in mesh, and that's what you're going to get. Until the medical society gets involved and starts prohibiting mesh and making doctors learn how to do pure tissue repair, you're not going to see any difference, okay? And the doctors have got in their head that, I got clients that don't have problems with mesh. Well, yeah, maybe. Let's look 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later. Are you picking the phone up and calling these people? No, none of them are checking. They're not following up. They're looking for the next 500 people they can fit in their room and make as much money as they can. They don't have time to follow up with these patients. This is the problem that you have. You need to find a doctor who's interested in research like Dr. KOCH, who will follow up with clients, okay? And he 2 weeks later, he's going out in my hospital, changing my bandages. All of that was part of the cost. And then he came to Dubai for a meeting. He said, I'm coming to Dubai, Tom, in 6 months. I need to check up with you. And he meets me, doesn't even charge me for this. But he's interested to know, how am I doing? How many doctors do that kind of crap? I don't find any doctors that do that today. I mean, he's the only doctor that I see that does that type of thing. He's interested in his patients and his clients. I don't know how he has the time to do it with all the clients that he's got. He did 9 hernia operations in one day. How do you have time for follow up with that? But he's got a system in place, and he does. And they take the mesh, too, that's pulled out, and they'll take pictures of it, but they send it off to do research. They try to find out what sort of problems the meshes is causing. So they're taking all these different meshes, and they're trying to analyze them to try to find out, what's causing these problems. And so that's why they try to take the mesh, send it off, and try to analyze it. And he does follow up. And but let's tell you my situation today, okay? Today, I just went for an hour. I do a lot of hiking. I went for an hour walk to the swimming pool. I'm 66 and a half. So I'm up there in age. Most 20-year-olds won't do this. I'm in the Philippines right now, by the way. I'm down here doing some things. And I walk to this place to go swimming. I like to hike. I don't like taking taxis. I walk an hour there and I walk an hour back. And I swim for about an hour. So that's a 3-hour workout. Now, am I 100%? No. When I come back, sometimes I got pain, but I had a 3-hour workout. Before I walked 5 minutes and I was ready for a wheelchair. And what I will tell you too is your pain will be, and Duke Pain Clinic told me this, and it's true. Your pain levels will change over time, no matter how bad you feel today. Like the electrical feelings and stuff, that's long gone. I don't have that anymore, okay? And so, some of that was due to the exploratory stuff that was done by the second doctor. I still do have chronic pain. Okay, that's not gone away, but I can still I can go an hour, walk an hour back, and sometimes I have to wait a couple of days to do that again. But I'll tell you one thing that's helped me. I don't take opioids. I've never taken them, and I can tell you this. If you can, don't ever take crap like that. It's going to screw up your kidneys, your liver. It will eventually kill you. So if you want to die, get on that kind of crap, and it will kill you, okay? And even anti-inflammatories has the same sort of effect on your liver and kidneys and stuff. Stay away from it if you can. Let me tell you what I take, okay? I take turmeric. I went on the internet to find this out because you go to most doctors, they're going to put you on pain medication, okay? I wanted to find alternative ways of solving my pain that were actually good for me. You get that from anti-inflammatories or opioids, okay? I went on the internet and found out about turmeric. And I use a concoction of turmeric. By the way, get with your doctor, but get with a naturopath doctor on medications that you're taking. Somebody who looks like they stay in pretty good shape and they don't like medications and stuff like this. If you're going to go to a doctor, I got this off the internet, and you can get doctors that would on the internet that are good doctors that are free. Some of these doctors are on different things they're free, not on the turmeric, but they're free that I've used before. We're at Emory Hospital. They put stuff on YouTube. You can pull up great things from doctors that are medical doctors that deal with natural type remedies. This is and that's free. It's on YouTube, okay? And I'll tell you a couple other things I found out on YouTube too. YouTube is great. A lot of doctors have lost a lot of business today because of YouTube. You can pull up doctors right on YouTube and not even go to the doctor. And save on money. you're not examined, but take your situation. If it doesn't solve your problem, then go pay for a doctor, you know. But a lot of doctors you can get right on the internet. So anyway, I took this concoction. Let me tell you what it is. It's turmeric. It's about a quarter tablespoon. If that doesn't do good, you can add to that. And the turmeric too, you can play a number on your stomach, okay? It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It can do as much as, I'll tell you this, it can do as much for me. I'm not going to tell you for you. I can take turmeric and I can get it and gauge it to where it's about anywhere from 250 to 500 milligrams of ibuprofen. Okay? I can have the same effect on my body. I don't know about your body. I'm just telling you, depending on what I put in the turmeric, just as much as a 250 to 500. That's a lot of ibuprofen. Okay? But let me tell you what I mix, because I found out there are ways that you need to mix this. I mix turmeric about a quarter tablespoon. Turmeric. I take ginger. You can take ginger in the powder form, or you can grind it up, the pure ginger. And then I take black pepper. Black pepper is found to absorb the turmeric in your system better. The cumin, I think it's pronounced, in your body better. And then I use black pepper, and then I use also cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is an anti-inflammatory too. And I put about 2 shots of that in there, and then the turmeric that I mentioned, black pepper, about 2 or 3 shots of black pepper. It helps absorb in your body. And I'm going to tell you something, man. This is the key right here. You do this in the morning, first thing, before you have pain when you get up. Now, some people wake up with pain, okay? And I sometimes when I do that too, but most mornings I get up, I don't wake up in pain, okay? You know, it's I'll take this concoction, but I do it. This is the key. Do it before the inflammation starts, okay? And turmeric's got all kinds of ingredients, man. It's been proven. You can look at the research to help cancer, prevent cancer. It does all kinds of things that can help you. And ginger is great for your stomach, and it helps counter the balance of the problems that you would have on the turmeric with the ginger combination. And I'm going to tell you something. If you take it first thing in the morning, man, it makes a huge difference as you go throughout the day. And then take another concoction around lunchtime and then at supper. And I had days I don't feel anything at all. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. And the only time I really feel something is when I go out and maybe do a lot of exercise. I mean, I can go the whole day and not feel anything at all. And even sometimes without taking the turmeric. But generally, if I don't take it, if I've exercised heavily the day before, I will feel it the next day if I don't take the turmeric, okay? CBD oil, a lot of people have asked me about CBD oil. The only reason I would say CBD is better than taking anti-inflammatory, or definitely better than opioids. Forget opioids. If you're on those things, you need to get off of them. Go through some sort of rehab and get off of them, okay? You're just going to kill yourself. And if you're anti-inflammatories, try to get off those and get on something like turmeric. CBD oil, the problem I have with CBD is, and I've used it too, is the long-term effects. These companies will tell you whatever they want to tell you, but I'm going to tell you there is no proven long-term effects. People have used turmeric for years and years and years. And it's been proven it's a good cancer fighter. It does all kinds of things that help you. Okay, and so does ginger. Ginger is an anti-inflammatory too, and also helps your stomach to counter the things with turmeric. So, you know, by using this concoction, it can make a huge difference. Myself, and I'm not going to tell you, your body could be different. If you got a problem, you go to your doctor, but like I say, try to use a doctor that tries to use, I'm talking about a medical doctor that uses alternatives that gets off drugs. And if you do that, you know, you can and usually look at the doctor. If he looks like he's pretty healthy, you know, probably he's going to prescribe you good things that are not drug related, you know, and that's what you want. I mean, I'm not a doctor, and I'm just telling you what's helped me. And but the reason I did this tape, I wanted to, you know, tell you my experiences in doing this. And the CBD oil, If you want to use it, fine, but you need to learn that long-term effects, could be bad for you. Like the dentist used to tell me to brush my teeth like this back in the 1960s and early 70s. And I had all this recession. Now they say, ooh, we made a mistake. You need to brush like this, down. Well, this recession has already occurred, So you want to take the chance on CBD oil. I would use CBD before I'd use anti-inflammatories and opioids. Because those have been proven they're bad long term. CBD might or it might not, okay? Turmeric, go on the internet. I don't see any side effects. I mean, if you go to the internet, you can't find people with side effects and problems and stuff. Probably there's little to none out there, okay? CBD hasn't been out there enough, and there's just floods of stuff out there on it, and it is expensive. It's a lot cheaper using anti-inflammatories, but what do you want to do? You want to screw your liver up? Is that going to be cheaper, or your kidneys later? Turmeric to me is the best option with the ginger, and then if it's not solving the problem, get with your doctor and try to increase the dosage. Okay, try to find out what the limit is to get that pain level down. Again, I'm going to repeat: get your doctor to talk to them about starting it in the morning before the pain starts. That keeps it from coming in. It's harder to get rid of the pain when you've waited, okay, and let it come in, okay? So initiate it. That's what I drink first thing in the morning is turmeric. I drink turmeric and I eat nothing but fruit for breakfast. I cleanse my system out, and then I eat other stuff later on. And I am almost a pure vegetarian. I do eat chicken and fish. I do not eat pork. I don't eat beef. I've long gone off soft drinks years ago. Soft drinks are awful for you. They're worse than a liquor. Okay, look at the ingredients in soft drinks. Take a Coca-Cola, pour it in your toilet, and you'll see it will clean your toilet. Okay, you want that in your stomach? I don't even drink fruit juice. Fruit juice is full of sugar. I would eat strictly fruit in the raw form if you want to eat juice from the actual fruit. But stay off this bottled fruit juice you get in stores. It's just full of sugar. It's awful for you. And you need to look over your body, because inflammation has so much to do with what you eat. And you can pull up a lot of good things on YouTube on foods that cause inflammation. Okay? So don't just take the turmeric. Go on YouTube, pull up foods that are bad for inflammation, like beef, pork. There's sugar that's not, like refined sugar. You need to check, and white flour is the worst damn thing for you. In fact, I've gotten to the point now, I've cut back on carbohydrates to where I don't even eat whole wheat bread. I get things that don't have gluten in them, like rice, the brown rice. I don't eat the white refined rice. I use brown rice. And I eat buckwheat flour. If I make pancakes, buckwheat doesn't have gluten in it. And you can add it with honey. That's a great thing to stay away from. If you're addicted to carbs, these are two things you can eat and get away from the carbohydrates you need. And I'll tell you something too, man, it will flatten out your stomach. I'm 6'3", I weigh 170 pounds. I don't take any medications. And this was a botched operation that occurred that caused all kinds of problems. My expenses went through the roof. And I'll tell you something too, if you've never had a hernia operation, there's a good chance somewhere down the road you could, or your child could have one. So you need to be educated on this, and because if you don't, you could spend a full lifetime of misery. Don't do sit-ups. I would tell you, if anything, stay away from doing sit-ups. It's a tremendous amount of pressure on your abdominal area. It will keep you from having hernias, but you can get a hernia from coughing. But you need to try to prevent one to begin with, okay? And don't start, I think people get in these weight rooms and stuff, and they cause all kinds of issues too. You have to be careful with weights. I would make sure you get with a good trainer if you're going to do weights. I don't do weights. I do swimming, biking, and do a lot of walking. I've had back injuries for years, and weightlifting bothers my back, so I stay away from it, and it's kept my back in great order. And I do a lot of back exercises and yoga, which it helps my back too. But anyway, I know this was a little bit off what we normally we have a YouTube channel that specializes in showing people how to get their taxes down to zero. If you're interested in that too, you can go and look at our videos under citizenshipquickly.com. You can pull up all of our videos from that. And we're putting out new videos all the time. So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get new videos as they come out. And you'll also get new videos that we have also on hernias. I'll keep you up to date with my condition as I get older, and let you know how my situation has been, because people want to follow up with, these people had meshes pulled out. How are they 10 years later, 5 years later, 6 months later? I'll keep you up with that. I'll tell you how I've done, so you can keep up with that on our other videos too. And like I said, if you're interested in lowering your taxes, you can look at that also. We have unique concepts you will not find anywhere else. And that's www.citizenshipquickly.com. If you got a comment, just put it below. Also, again, hit the subscribe button to your right of your screen. If you want new videos as they come out, we'll get them to you as soon as they come in. And look forward to talking to you on our next video. Take care. Bye.